How are we doing after that heartbreaker Sweet 16 game? No, seriously, how are we doing? We're going to talk about that here. And then also, what are the biggest roster questions for Michigan State basketball this offseason? And also, let's check in on some football here because big news. General Manager Saeed Khalif is no longer with the team. Let's go.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing? Thank you so much for kicking off your day with us here or for spending some of your weekend with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Even though we're in the offseason for football and basketball, we're still going to be chirping Spartans around the clock here on the Locked On Podcast Network. So thanks a lot. If you guys are ready for it, by the way, I can understand if no one really is ready to talk about Michigan State basketball, but if you're like me, and right now I am recording on Saturday night, it's full transparency. I have a packed Sunday, so this is the only time I can record. And I'm such a party animal. Like, what else do I got going on a Saturday night other than talking about Michigan State to a microphone and a webcam? But yeah, if you're like me, you're a little healed. You're a little healed after what you saw in the Elite Eight at Madison Square Garden. Kansas State falls to FAU. And it's embarrassing. It is completely pathetic how much my mental health relied on that game for the next week. But it is a lot easier to swallow a pill of losing a heartbreak Sweet 16 game when that team that beats you doesn't actually get to go dancing in Houston. It's a little more difficult to plug us in for FAU, who, by the way, is an outstanding team. How they were ranked 9th, even though they had a net ranking in the top 20, I'll never understand. But hey, good for them. That is a rightful spot in the Final Four. And personally, I don't think Michigan State would have done too well against FAU. But hey, we'll never know. But what we do know is that Kansas State is not in it, and I respect the hell out of Kansas State. That is a fun team to root for. They played amazing on Thursday. They deserved to beat Michigan State. MSU on Thursday night, I think I said it on this pod, but they played a game that you probably win 98 out of 100 times. Unfortunately, you ran into a team that, played like the other two times because they were just dynamite. But again, they're not going to the Final Four. So if you're like me, that actually helped you move forward throughout the week. And also, too, this maybe helped too. And I put myself in this mindset. And this was far down the stage of grieving. On Thursday, I didn't get to this point until Saturday afternoon, but I thought to myself, what is worse, losing an absolute instant classic in the Sweet 16? Like, again, a game that you would win more times than not, but you just ran into a supernova team. What's harder, losing that game or winning that thriller? Winning that thriller, and then in the second half of that Elite Eight game, you have an early lead in the second half, but then you fall into a pit of misery as you lose the Elite Eight game. And let's just say, hypothetically, it's at Madison Square Garden. Is that 2014 calling? And I know we have a good amount of listeners who are in college right now. That game was 9 years ago. They were in their, not even teens yet. So let me remind you all, 2014 Sweet 16 game. 4-seeded Michigan State versus number 1-seeded Virginia. Instant classic. Michigan State wins by, I believe, 2 or 3 points. It was an amazing game at Madison Square Garden. Turns around 2 days later. Early lead in the second half against UConn, and the wheels fell off the bus. Kind of like K-State, who didn't start the second half with the lead, but they got it eventually. And, at Madison Square Garden, of all places, saw it dwindle down. And I got to say, again, I know this happened 9 years ago, but that memory still sticks out. That is a far worse way to bow out of the tournament because you are 20 minutes away from a Final Four. So that's going to make the pill a little easier to swallow. And I think hopefully maybe we avoid all the conversations of, hey, you know what? This could have been a title number 2 team for Izzo. And it started to look like that on Friday when Bama fell on the other side of that bracket. And then, if you want to go all the way to the other side of the bracket, Houston fell as well. It looked pretty gettable. You have Creighton and San Diego State in the Final Four that you would have had to beat. And even though they're good teams, I think they're a far cry from Bama, despite San Diego State beating them. We'll make sense of that later. But yeah, I think that this is one that got away just for Izzo's 9th Final Four, not national title number 2. And hopefully that can make us sleep a little better tonight. And God, because it's so embarrassing. I slept horrible. I woke up Friday morning just staring at the ceiling for 5 minutes, not even playing my phone, just staring at the ceiling, just wondering what on earth happened the night before. And we're going to start to climb out of this hole a little bit by bit. Again, hey, some of you guys were not fine with the loss. I mean, no one was okay with the loss, but some people bounced back quicker because, you did have the mindset of, hey, at least Michigan State played really good and they were there the entire game. Like, I don't know. I really wish I was rather an Arkansas fan on Thursday and just get beat by 8,000 points and never even think that you deserve to be in that game. But I digress. Let's flip the page here. We're going to stop talking about how moody we are and what this game meant to us fans. Let's start talking about the guys that actually matter, right? The team, the roster, the players, these brilliant student athletes representing Michigan State University, because we're going to talk about this throughout the offseason, especially as the news drops. And there is one piece of news we're going to get to right off the top, and this pertains to roster moves for the upcoming off season. What are the biggest storylines? We know the 3 horsemen of eligibility havers still somehow. Joey Hauser still had eligibility. He posted on Instagram rather, that he's out of here. He's done. He said as much before the tourney. This should surprise absolutely no one, and it was a great finish to his career as well. Just had an outstanding senior year when that was a big question mark going in. Yes, he had a really good end to his junior season, but we also saw him kind of go up and down throughout that junior year, but he was a net huge positive throughout this entire season. He will be missed. Now, the next 2 guys, Malik Hall, we got nothing on him. Again, I think it's going to be a coin toss, maybe 55% coming back, 45% not coming back, because I think, simply put, where else would he go? I think he's going to transfer anywhere else. I don't think he's going to go try like G League or the NBA. I don't think they're calling necessarily, or Europe. That's always an option too. And then one thing you got to consider is that, it's been told many times that his father battling dementia for the better part of a decade. I don't know how that's going to factor in to his decision as well. Maybe wants more family time, or, he's also been in college for quite some time. And sometimes, guys just get not tired of it or sick of it, but they're ready for the next thing in their life. So maybe that could be it for Malik Hall, or come back for another year, get some NIL money. Why don't you? And just have a solid spot on this team. Whether he will be that starting 4 guy, it'll be an interesting battle to see what's going to happen there, especially when you have Xavier Booker coming in. Cohen Carr, I'm sure, can press for early playing time, but that is one storyline there. And then the bigger one too. I mean, Malik is a big one, don't get me wrong, but I think just a lot more eyes are on the Tyson Walker decision, because great 2-way player. Dynamite on defense, can obviously hit from downtown at 45%. Showed a nice finishing package too, down low in the tournament as well. So we'll see what he does. He did comment on Joey Hauser's Instagram post. That's right, because this is actually newsworthy. In the year of our Lord 2023, he wrote, "Who is going to sit next to me on the planes now?" One can hypothesize that he's talking about for next year, the team planes that Michigan State flies on for next year, but we'll see. He went on to tweet later that night that everything's not all that it seems. We got to sift through a lot of cryptic internet postings here on Instagram and Twitter in the near future to get any shred of knowledge and intel that we possibly can. But yeah, all eyes go to those guys, and not just those guys individually, actually, because this Tyson Walker decision, I think, maybe perks up an eyebrow at what maybe Jaden Akins could possibly do. And I know there's whispers online, some from opposing fan bases, some from not opposing fan bases, some right here from Michigan State, that if Walker comes back, he's obviously going to be a starter at the 2. Does Jaden Akins want to do a 3rd year playing the 3 when he probably thinks that, he's that shooting guard? He is that 2 guy. He's the guy that should be in Tyson Walker's spot, getting a little more action. But I mean, Michigan State did give him a lot of opportunities down the stretch here. I mean, put up anywhere from 8 to 11 shots per game down the stretch. And I think, or I hope rather, that the last few weeks of the season really showed all 3 of these guys in AJ Hoggard, Tyson Walker, and Jaden Akins what this could look like in a lineup, and it seemed to me that it kind of works pretty okay. So we'll see there. Again, I'm not hitting the panic button yet if Tyson Walker were to come back, but in the year, or the years rather, the era of NIL, transfer portal, all that fun stuff, no guy is ever 100% to come back. So I just wanted to bring that up. Again, I hope I don't have anyone going DEFCON 2 right now, panicking that guys are leaving, but it's just a conversation. We do hypotheticals in the off season. We like to chit chat. So just wanted to bring that up. We're going to be switching sports here. That's right. We're going to be talking with an old friend, football, here in a little bit, because they've had a big shakeup inside their football building here. But first, need to talk your ear off about Built Bar. That could have been a sharper on that one. All right, this Built March Madness bracket is here, and we know that you have a favorite bar or puff, and it is now time to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. You guys know I will be voting for Churro Puff. It is the 1 seed of 1 seeds in my heart. So, hey, let's all bounce Churro Puff to the finish line here. And when you vote, best of all, for your favorite bar or puff, you'll be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. And not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built. Have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You got to try Built. Built is the best protein bar ever. Seriously, God, I talk about this for weeks, months, years. This is better than any candy bar you've ever tasted, any protein bar you've ever tasted. They are dynamite. So run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote on your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you are there. You can vote every day in March, so hop in and support your pick. It's football time. Sadly, because I say sadly because that means basketball's no longer playing. I guess I'm not 100% repaired yet from MSU getting bounced out of the tournament. But yes, we do have to give football some attention here, and not for lack of big news. This is actually news that broke here on, was it Friday or Saturday? How about this? Within the last 24 hours, this broke. Starting to get my days mixed up here. But yes, Saeed Khalif, the general manager, so to speak, of Michigan State football. He's been here for 2 years, came here from Wisconsin, where he did outstanding work over in Madison. And after 2 years, they will not be renewing his contract as the general manager here. And what the general manager is, this is the guy that really rounded up a lot of recruiting ins and outs, coordinated visits, pretty much told coaches where to go, kept a lot of intel from the recruits themselves and the coaches, the middleman, the organizer. He put on a lot of these events too in the offseason. He was kind of the head honcho in that regard as well. So big recruiting figure, if you did not know who Saeed Khalif was. He is out after 2 years. And look, that's not to say that his tenure was a total dud here. I mean, I'm not going to go full-on grave dancing here for Saeed Khalif because, look, some good did happen here in the last 2 years. I mean, in this last class, 2023, 8 4-stars were signed to this class. That's pretty good. That's a top 25 class, actually, off of a 5-7 season. Now, of course, I mean, kids don't commit to a school because of a general manager. You know, it's more so the coaching staff for a lot of other factors. But this was a guy that was brought here to build strong relationships with these players to get them in the door and just make sure the process of recruiting goes smoothly from Michigan State's end as well. And look, did a solid enough job in cohesion with the coaching staff to have a top 25 class off of a bowl gameless year. And also generated a lot of buzz with the program too. And of course, kind of maybe easy to do that after a Peach Bowl season. But let's talk about what happened before that Peach Bowl season as well. MSU did not have a lot of momentum going on the recruiting trail whatsoever. And in a short amount of time, the coaching staff, Saeed, they were able to ramp up momentum pretty quickly here. Now, with that said, I mean, he wasn't let go because of like how great of a job he did. There are, of course, some issues here. And, well, one of the issues was what we just talked about. There was plenty of buzz. And that didn't necessarily reflect entirely on the class. And what I mean by that is, look, there were 36 official visits taken in June. Who remembers that star-studded June? It was 4-star and 5-star city last summer in East Lansing. They never got a 5-star out of that bunch. Of the 36 official visits, only 6 guys ended up committing. And of course, you don't expect even half of those 36 kids to commit to Michigan State, but that was a lot of heavy swings and a lot of misses, and that's fine. Go for the gold. I was in full support of this. This is, yeah, you know what? If you want to get to the top, well, you might as well start barking like a big dog here. However, I think a big issue here was the lack of plan Bs. And that's kind of reflected with the 16 kid class. That is a small class for football. And when you put your eggs in so many 5-star baskets, so many 4-star baskets, and you pursue them for a long time, all right, you're not just having them on campus. You realize that, okay, well, they were just here for a photo shoot in a Ferrari. And you continue to pursue them, even though that maybe they're headed elsewhere. Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, just somewhere that's not Michigan State. You have all those plan B-esque kids. These kids rated from maybe like 300 to 700 in the class, already looking elsewhere. And by the time you're calling them, they don't even pick up the phone because they've already narrowed down their 4 schools who have been hotly pursuing them. But no, it was, I think that's another issue too, is that, and again, I'm just hypothesizing here. I'm just looking at all the details, all the facts, and what happened at the end of this class. I think that a lot of this too was maybe the coaching staff was led to believe that they were actually closer with a lot of these 5-star kids and these highly rated 4-star kids than they actually were in reality. Like, you're putting a lot of resources late in the signing class for, hey, let's go all in Samson Okalola. He still maybe wants to come here, right? No, not really. Dalen Austin, hey, LSU commit. He might be able to flip here. I hear that he might flip to Michigan State. Nope, not really. And that kind of happened with a handful of kids, to the point where you're wasting resources and time and energy on kids that just point blank aren't ever going to come here. So I think that is going to be an issue as well. And Spartan Tailgate, I'm sorry, I should have brought this up earlier. Spartan Tailgate was the outlet that dropped all of this news. They also do fantastic work at 24/7 Sports. They wrote a whole piece on this, what did go well, what didn't go well, a lot of what didn't go well. Pointed out that a lot of the creative team also departed too, and that's like your social media graphic people. I'm maybe I'm a little reluctant to believe that, just because knowing what I know about the creative industry, there's a lot of turnover regardless, but I don't think that's the main reason that he was not renewed, because him and the Twitter team didn't get along well. No, I just think it was just a lot of miscommunication is what I'm going to put this on, I think. And whether I don't think it was done maliciously. I'd have a really hard time believing that a guy would put his job in the line to know full well that these 5-stars aren't going to come here and then push along that info. No, I just think that you need sharper communication here. And I think obviously the coaching staff believes that as well, because they are flipping the page here to the next chapter. Now, who that will be, no idea. When will that be? I kind of worry about that. It's late March. I remember the days of Mel Tucker trying to hire a coaching staff in an odd part of the college football cycle. Maybe it's a little different with the general manager figure, but it's not the most convenient time to do all this. So good luck there. We'll see. But yeah, I imagine this will be a national search. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, hey, let's go from within. You need someone that knows Michigan State. I don't think so. I don't know. I still like the national approach to recruiting here. I mean, that's clearly where Mel Tucker's head is at, getting kids from Georgia, California, Texas. Like, he's a national recruiter, so I think he will want a national guy, someone that has grassroots maybe in a few different places in the country. So, and don't get me wrong, that there are a lot of staff members in place that know enough about Michigan State to jump in and help when needed. But yeah, I would go national, just best guy out there available. Also too, hey, this is something that happened about 15 years ago, but we haven't gotten to just because basketball has just been so hot in the press. Jim Salgado, defensive back coach out of Buffalo. Well, Buffalo Bills was his last stop. Spent 6 years there. He is the 10th Michigan State assistant coach. Brandon Jordan, he left to the Seattle Seahawks, and then Mel Tucker said in a press conference that he will focus on a defensive back coach. And there you have it. Jim Salgado, a guy that's coached for about 3 decades here. Did a lot of work at Princeton. Of course, like we just mentioned, 6 years at Buffalo, coaching with the Bills. Coached one of my favorite players in the NFL, Jordan Poyer. So sure, let's just go with that spin zone that he built Jordan Poyer to the player he is today, and I will hear no arguments against it. So we'll get more into this. We're going to have Stephen Brooks on later this week. We're going to talk more about this hiring. So I know that's just a quick little minute there on Jim Salgado, but we'll get more into it in a hot second. We also will flip the page to more basketball. We got a listener email or two we're going to get to, but first need to talk your ear off about FanDuel Sports. That's right. Hey, just because there's no Michigan State doesn't mean that March Madness isn't still exciting, and ramp up that excitement with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's right, because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That is up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. And hey, wager on everything from the money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. And it's all in an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. And best of all, you get paid quick with Mr. FanDuel. You're not waiting around for days at a time like your old-fashioned sports book. Nope, Mr. FanDuel pays you rapidly. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss your shot at the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is where you can reach out if you ever want to scream at me, segment ideas, ask questions, just give general life advice too. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com sees a lot. And we're going to get to some listener emails. These were sent after the game on Thursday. So we're going back to basketball here. And this email is from Matt. No, not me, but if this is who I think it is, lovely listener, loyal listener of the podcast, a lot of interaction. It's all good. Love Matt here. So he writes 4 points. He said, I need to get a few things off my chest about that game last night. Well, or Thursday night. Feel free to use any of this on the show. Well, Matt, I will gladly use all this on the show. To all the MSU fans who think a Sweet 16 appearance justifies Tom not getting another big in the transfer portal, stop. If we had a functional rim protector big, we would probably compete for a national title this year, and we certainly don't lose to Kansas State. I'll whisper this. You're 1 for 1. I tend to agree with you here, but this is a debate that I hope ends, because I can't do another debate of should he have gone in the transfer portal, should he not have. I think the roster will be pretty set next year. You're going to be pretty close to that 12 scholarship limit. And also you're going to have pretty good depth at each position as well. But yeah, you think a rim protecting big could have helped Michigan State on Thursday? I think so. But again, then you got to get into the whole conversation of what does that do for the chemistry of this team? Oh, if they brought in a transfer portal guy, would someone have left? So there's just so much gray area in this transfer portal. But like, in a nutshell, just talking about Thursday's game, yeah, I think that would have helped a little bit. Or maybe just a guy that would finally not go help off. Whatever. No, I'm not going to get upset. We're healing. No, actually, no, we're going to keep talking about this. Maybe you get a big man that doesn't sag off his guy to help protect the rim from a 5'7" guard. But then again, we talked about this after Thursday. I think that was a coaching decision. Look, you help off a guy once or twice. Okay, that might be a player error. You have the guy have 19 assists because you're over helping so much. I think that was a coaching decision before the game that did not pan out too well. All right, so point number 2 in this email. Noel was great, but you don't give up an NCAA record assist in one game for a player without our defense being exceptionally bad. That was the worst defense I've seen from an MSU team. At least when we gave up 100 to Iowa, it was crazy threes. This was getting carved up in the lane and backdoor cut to death. It was like the team didn't even practice all week. 2 for 2. Here's the issue. I think they did practice. They practiced very hard, I think. They practiced the wrong thing, though. They practice, hey, when Noel gets downhill to the lane, when he's one-on-one, sag off your guy, help him. Let's have him make a layup over 2 people instead of 1. And not most of the time. Every single time Noel sniffed that out, dumped the ball down, easy layup, or sometimes, you know what, Noel did have some nice plays too where he found a guy open in the corner. That very impressive passer, but like, you don't have to be an impressive passer if you make it that easy too. So fortunately, They did practice. It's just the wrong thing. They practiced the wrong thing, Matt. All right, number 3. Closing out in the last 10 minutes and overtime of the game with the small ball lineup, which has been a defensive atrocity all year, was coaching malfeasance, in my opinion. My God, those are two $50 words. Malik Hall had a terrible game. We'll get to that in a little bit. You have to try and put Cooper back in, and you have to sub defense for offense in the final few possessions. Izzo's stubbornness cost us another NCAA tournament game/run. Yeah, look, Cooper had a fantastic first weekend against USC and Creighton. I think Marquette. How about that? Another Big East team. I think he's going to have a fine career here at Michigan State, especially for a kid who was on his high school team's B team. Yes, that high school is IMG Academy, the most prestigious athletics program in the nation, but it's just a more fun story to say he was on his high school's B team. Regardless, did not have a good game against Kansas State. 4 fouls, 0 points, and we were never counting on him for offense, but even his defense was a far cry from where it was the first weekend, I think. Now, I will come to the defense once again for Malik Hall. And I hear you over there. I hear all of you over there. A lot of you are rolling your eyes already. And don't get me wrong, some people did agree with this, but Malik Hall was a scapegoat for the end of that game for a lot of fans. And we talked about this after the game Thursday. That is the huge bummer when you have such a great game. And Michigan State had a great game, especially offensively. There were so many outstanding performances. So many outstanding performances that when you lose a game like that, everyone's looking for an answer. And unfortunately, that answer falls to a guy that just played fine. Like, I thought Malik Hall had a fine game on Thursday. And listen to what I just said. I said fine game. All right. I didn't say he should be on the all-tournament team or anything like that, or he channeled his inner Draymond Green and just played fantastic. No, he had a fine game. I thought he was a +6 on the box score, and I think he might have been the only starter to have a positive plus-minus. I know it's not the end-all, be-all, obviously. I think it goes without saying that A.J. Hoggard had a better game than Malik Hall, even though he didn't have a good plus-minus. But regardless, Malik Hall had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists as well, 3 turnovers. Okay, again, this is part of the fine game. He did have some tough moments, 3 turnovers. He was also one of 4 guys to have at least 3 turnovers, though. It wasn't just all Malik Hall. Unfortunately, everything happened at the end of the game, and I do want to bring up this play again, that what we thought was an airball 3 from Noel, and Malik Hall looked like he could have got it on the baseline. From one angle, it looked like Malik Hall was camped under the ball. You go from the behind the Noel angle, and that would have been a very athletic play to make. And also, everyone in Madison Square Garden, except for Noel and A.J. Hoggard, thought that ball was airballed. So he would have been taking a risk on a shot that he thought was airballed. I digress. And I get it, like the defense miscommunication on the last baseline shot from MSU that ultimately was the dagger for MSU. That was not a good play, but let's also remember this. MSU down 4, last minute of regulation. Malik Hall, tough offensive rebound putback to make it a 2-point game. Like, we're not talking about an overtime game if Malik Hall didn't play. And here is just the last thing I'll say about the whole Malik Hall saga. And I know that this isn't going to end. I know that we'll get some pushback here, but I'm here to tell you I'm done talking about it, I think, after today. If not Malik Hall in the court, then who? Who would you rather have on the court than Malik Hall? Because we've seen what it looks like when he's out. And with either foot injury he had this season, when he was out, the team looks a little different. Let's say on Thursday, okay, Malik Hall, you don't think he's playing up to snuff. You take him out of the game. Who's going in? Jackson Kohler? Like, you think Malik Hall's defense was bad? Like, no offense to Jackson Kohler. Like, it would have been a lot worse for him. You want Pierre Brooks out there. Okay, a 3-and-D guy that can't shoot a 3 and doesn't play any D? Like, no, that wasn't going to happen. Like, Malik Hall was the only guy that you could really throw out there, unless, of course, you slide Joey up to the 4, and then you throw out Mady Sissoko or Carson Cooper at the 5. But at that point, I think you needed that small ball lineup. I know it lost, but clearly it was almost good enough to win that game, and you weren't getting anything out of Mady either that game. You weren't getting anything out of Carson, so that's what I just go down to. If not Malik, then who? Now, a good quippy answer would be a transfer portal guy, which, okay, whatever, sure, fine. Checkmate, you got me there. But yeah, like Malik Hall was your best option out there. And again, he played a fine game. in my opinion. And point number 4, hey, speaking of the kid, Malik Hall should not be let back for next year. Like, oh my God, like switch out the keys on him or switch out the locks on him. Nice kid, but he's an average 7 points and 4 rebounds in 4 years. He's just not a good, consistent player. We're going to win anything with. Those minutes need to go to Carr and Booker. I don't want Izzo to use him like Ben Carter next year and bench Booker or Carr every time they mess up a defensive assignment. Well, you know Tom Izzo well because you know damn well that's exactly what's going to happen. Anytime Booker or Carr are caught in space, son, hit the bench. Malik Hall, get in there. But yeah, it'll be interesting if Malik Hall comes back to see what his role will be. I also think too, like, let's not just throw this out the window and disregard this. He was coming off of a foot injury too that he was playing through. And I know that, you know, you could cry excuse for that, but really, I think that kind of did play a big role in Malik's end to the year. And I'm not saying that he would have been an 18-point, 12 rebound guy if he had a healthy foot, but give him a full offseason of rest, see what he comes back as. And yeah, you got another veteran on the team that at worst gives you 25 solid minutes a game. So I don't know. I think Malik Hall was fine. So we'll end it there. There you go. I'll get off my soapbox. Hey, thanks a lot for the email, Matt. Thank you for anyone that has emailed lockedonspartans@gmail.com. As we go into the offseason, hey, emails from you guys are always appreciated during the season, but in the offseason, oh yeah, we need those like a plant needs water. So, all right, guys, until then, we will be back Monday night on YouTube, Tuesday morning with Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. But until then, hey, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Monday. Love you all. Go Green.